But at the end of the day, we're never going to see the full report. Oh, the rich get richer and the scum get more powerful. Anyway, that's it for Big Damn Politics this week.
Yes.
We'll catch you all next week. Stop being political.
No.
All right, should we stop living on this planet
Yes.
during an incredibly turbulent political time in our days? So I thought we'd start on a more relaxing note. Welcome to Big Damn Cast, nerdy news, geeky gossip, stuff that's fit to fill your time until you realise that you could have been listening to like classical music instead. My name is Chris. Oh God, why? Johnson.
And call me Little Sunshine. Call me Mephistopheles.
I've got this calendar for Christmas. I didn't put it up for January, but I think I'm biased because January's page is like just fine. But it's a Chihuahua puppies calendar.
Chihuahua puppies.
I was going to put it up in the kitchen, then Lou got another calendar, so that's the one that's up in the kitchen.
Puppy wawa.
But I just thought we could, considering like where the time this is being recorded, the whole Sue Gray thing is is sort of going on at the moment.
I think the Guardian have published a report that has been made available.
Yeah,
I haven't had a chance to go through it yet.
But corruption will not be dealt with, and things will not get better in the immediacy. Maybe they will eventually, but not right now. And, bit of a depressing week ahead for our household in regards to saying goodbye to a family member and, just not a great time. So I thought we'd just start this week's episode before we get into the news and reviews, Boba Fett and all that good shit, by looking at pictures of chihuahuas in this calendar. Could you please describe to the viewer what you're staring at right now?
This is a chihuahua, a small... mostly white chihuahua with very pink inner ears, very pink nose, lovely, lovely black eyes, and it looks like that they're on a field of snow, and they look very, very fluffy, like like a loofah, like a wet loofah.
Yeah, a living loofah.
Yeah, a living loofah.
What a torturous existence that would be if you were a conscious loofah. Let's skip to Mr. February.
This one's much shorter head, much more muscular definition showing through. Almost. Very short hair, in fact, but massive pink ears, lovely little black nose, black eyes, and it's also got sort of reluctant sort of half smile on his face.
It's got quite a thick jaw.
Very thick. It's a thick boy.
And its ears are pointy, almost like he were the Batman. First topic. So, the Batman last week, after we recorded, so, in our defence, but I don't think we would have touched on it per se. Percy, on the other hand, was footage from the Batman leaked to the internet. A footage of a funeral sequence and the beginning of what appears to be a hostage situation or terrorist attack on a church. And then it ends with the Batman in theaters from blah, blah, blah. And it leaked, but people were going, hang on, this has got to be official. It's got that thing at the end. No, some fucker leaked a promo video before it was meant to go out.
Yes.
Since last week, and as of yesterday, as recording this, Matt Reeves, the director of the Batman, just went, fuck it, here it is in 4K on my Vimeo account, everyone.
Hi!
Enjoy! So we have minor spoilers ahead for what is like 2 minutes of content in a 13-hour movie.
What if this is the end of the film? What if this is
like a Sony trailer?
Yeah,
like a Sony trailer.
They're just showing a clip of the end of the. They've got to do that. They've got to, some mad fucking corporation out there has got to have start. When they start getting close to releasing this and then you start releasing like full clips from the film. One fucking one's got to have like just released the last scene of the film.
Sony do it all the time. Sony Pictures do it all the time. Amazing Spider-Man 2's trailers were riddled with that shot of him swinging the sewer grid around.
And that's
the
fucking
Rhino.
the last shot of the film.
The most recent Uncharted trailer has here like Nathan Drake in a separate like job dealing with these people. Then Sully bursts in to help him and is wearing a sort of muted Hawaiian shirt and has a mustache, and the shot in the thing is him going like, what's that? And he's like, oh, don't worry, when you're old enough you better grow one of your own. And it's like, do you remember how we joked that would be the last scene of the movie? They'd be like, oh, I'm just thinking of growing it out. Do you not think it suits me?
Yeah.
Well, I guarantee that's from the last scene in the film. And it'll be a cut forward 4 or 5 months sort of scene. It's just like, fucking hell. It would be wonderful if this was the end of the Batman. Because we know that there are 2 more. It has been confirmed in the last year that it is one of a trilogy and it is intended to be 3 movies. Because we made a whole thing of... It's nice to know that there is definitely a roadmap. So they're not just going to tease stuff that will never pay off because the films won't get finished. But also, can we just do single standalone movies again, please? Have a movie?
It's like, do you remember Too Human?
No, what was Too Human?
Too Human was a video game, but you'd be hard pressed to find it anywhere because it was so bad. And Silicon Knights, the development studio, was so fucked by it that their next attempt at a video game, X-Men Destiny, was basically done on arrival, and I don't think you can actually buy Too Human anymore. It was so it it had such a toxic effect on their ability to make and publish video games that it basically killed the studio and disappeared. But there were interviews with the head of development. I can't remember his name. The guy who used to run Silicon Knights. And people were asking Mr. Silicon Knights.
Silly Cones.
Mr. Silly Cones. And then, they made Eternal Darkness and its Requiem. They made the GameCube remake of Metal Gear Solid. Good stuff. And then they did Too Human. It was garbage. And I was like, oh, well. And it was like a sort of cyber Viking action RPG thing.
The more you describe it, the more I'm picturing the magazine ads for it.
And it was intended to be the first part of a trilogy. To the point where we were doing interviews for it, the director on it was like people asking us, "Oh, well, what do what bits of the game are you really looking forward to people getting to grips with, and what classes did you really enjoy putting together in the game?" It's like, "Oh no, all my favourite stuff's actually not in the first game." So,
which is weird because he said that obviously hoping everyone would go, "Oh my god, the second one's going to be incredible," or the third's going to be, but it just comes across as, "Don't be bothered." Don't bother yourself with this.
Anyway, it was very bad. No one bought it. But it always makes me think, whenever someone announces something as a trilogy or as part of a series, particularly movies, TV shows I'm not so worried about because they are meant to be serialised. Yeah. But when you do this, I worry that they won't put enough of the story and the stuff that they're excited about into the first one. And then no one will watch the first one and will never get to see the other 2.
I mean, great examples of something that thematically as a trilogy clearly had intentions, but you can watch... specifically the first and second parts on their own and not have to think about any of it. Great example is the Christopher Nolan Dark Knight trilogy. Batman Begins works on its own terms. The Dark Knight works on its own terms.
Arguably, if you treat them as self-contained movies and don't think about them, they work better.
I have a feeling I know we did a big go back and look into the podcast feed, everybody. We did a big sort of look back at both 2 episodes looking back at the 3 movies a few years ago. I think it was during the first lockdown, actually, 2020. But I have a feeling that as time goes by, your returning to it mentally is going to result in you going, yeah, Batman Begins is pretty great. The other 2 are films, I guess.
Dark Knight is too long, and it's 2 films jammed together.
Fair enough.
But a lot of it is still very good.
Yeah, it's a lot of it is down to performance, technical execution. And I guess the action set pieces in particular are really memorable.
The thing that sours me on it over time is that I just have less of an appetite for that sort of dark, gritty, sort of neocon Batman.
Which sort of that Batman kind of solidified.
Yeah, exactly.
Batman and Robin, the reaction to it was Batman Begins. Dark Knight was Batman Begins, but darker now.
Yeah.
And I do enjoy those 3 movies. The third one is hot garbage in my opinion.
So
again,
stupid.
Technically executed in a brilliant way. There are some incredible performances in there. It's nice to finally see Anne Hathaway play Felicia Hardy, just pretending she's Selena Kyle. But hey, she worked hard to get the part in Spider-Man 4. Indeed. She may as well have put those skills to use and did it in a Batman movie instead. But I still appreciate enough of The Dark Knight Rises that if I do revisit Batman Begins, I do tend to find myself going, oh, go on, I'll put Dark Knight on, and I'll do Dark Knight Rises as well.
I never have enough time to do all 3 of them.
Oh God,
they're too fucking long! Especially Dark Knight Rises. I mean, Dark Knight is too long.
Yeah.
Dark Knight Rises feels too long.
Dark Knight Rises
feels too long.
Do you remember when Midnight Releases over here? And it was as recently as 10, 9, 8 years ago. Midnight Releases over here would coincide with the midnight release in the States. So I went to the midnight release of The Dark Knight Rises in IMAX.
Yeah.
So it was like 5 a.m. in the IMAX at the Printworks in Manchester. Me and 400 other people, or whatever it is, in that auditorium.
Did you stay awake?
Oh yeah.
That's
I went to bed at like 7 p.m. the night before. Lucy and I and the two friends we went to bed at like 7 p.m. Sort of just eased into sleep. Woke up around 4, drove there, got straight into the thingy, grabbed some pop. There's a little Costa coffee, so it was like quick Americano. Grab some pop, because they obviously opened up everything that they could open up to take advantage of the nutters who'd come in for this really early morning screening.
And take advantage of the poor sods working terrible wages and terrible hours.
And that was back when it was Odeon as well, so yeah. We have inner knowledge. Hopefully it's a lot better now. I honestly don't know anyone who works at any of them now enough to ask them, so...
Probably not.
But...
Probably worse.
Oh boy.
I don't know if you've seen what's happened, but...
Oh?
Well, we know, the cinema is not exactly doing well, is it?
Oh, well, yeah.
It's
Well, oh, God, yeah.
Cinemas as a
our sort
an
of
institution.
Not to dox ourselves, but our like sort of recurring cinema is the Odeon in central Manchester, the Great Northern building warehouse project thing,
Formerly AMC.
Formerly AMC, and like whenever I go there in the last couple of years, obviously like not everyone's rushing out to the cinema anymore, but whenever I go there in the last couple of years, it really does feel like there's 5 staff members total. And they're all a bit like, oh my God, a customer.
Yeah.
And it's a really weird vibe.
It's really quiet.
And at the same time, I'm like, fair enough, because at least I know, having known people who've worked there, I know that these guys are not going to have the most stressful version of the usual Odeon experience. So, like, good. Any heat taken off of you guys, the better.
Yeah.
But it's also like, this is weird.
Yeah.
It's real freaking weird.
It's weird.
I'm trying to think if there was so much of a film at the Trafford Centre. It was you, me, and Billy for Venom 2. Let there be more Venoms.
I went to see...
and that was again, there was sort of quiet. It wasn't too busy, but there were still people.
Did I see No Way Home at Traff? I think I did.
I saw it at the Lincoln, Brayford Wharf. Midnight screening. Because nowadays, if you've got a midnight screening, they just go, fuck it. Well, we didn't go to a midnight screening. Well, no, because midnight screenings aren't often now either. They'll just release it late the night before it comes out.
Midnight screenings haven't been often for the last 2 years.
True, but I just mean in terms of schedules, they don't do that thing now of midnight, we can show it to you. They'll go, fuck it, we'll put it on at 9 p.m. and another one at like 10 p.m. in a different screen the night before the film comes out. There's your midnight screening, folks. And it's probably because the cinemas have gone, look, we don't want to be here till 4 in the morning.
Fuck no.
Like, we don't want to be here till 4 in the morning. We want you out by midnight.
We're here till 3 in the morning anyway, and we're back in at 6 a.m. We're not sort of the first film until 10.
I came out of The Dark Knight Rises, my first big, like, midnight screening, 5 a.m. screening experience, IMAX, really hyped, and an audience full of people who were absolutely psyched as heck for it. I was excited. I'd seen the sneak preview, like, the year prior, you know, where, like, the limited tickets had gone out and you went to watch the prologue in IMAX, and I was like, this is fucking impressive. Okay, here we go. And I remember coming out of it being really elated by the experience I'd just had.
Yeah. And
the fact that I had a full day's work. I got back to the flat, had like a half-hour kip, made myself some breakfast, and then went and did a full day at CBBC. And I was like, woo! But I felt elated by the experience I'd had.
Yeah.
But I was sort of like, I don't know how I feel about the movie. Which says a lot.
Not great!
Which says a lot about, like, you know, normally people go, oh, but it was the first time I'd done that thing and it was really, really cool. So I have really fond memory of it. And I'm like, the film is a film, I guess. Yeah. My worry about The Batman was, based on the more recent trailers, we've talked about this before, is that it's going to be a little too much like the Nolan stuff. I kind of wanted to veer away from that.
Yeah.
And I'm still not seeing any signs in its marketing and its fucking toys. The toys that are coming out are so weird. Like, kids' action figures of depressed-looking Oswald Cobblepot.
It doesn't feel like a film that should have toys.
It really doesn't. Like, maybe put out, like, a Batman and a Batmobile and do a slightly stylized version of Selena, Catwoman, and go, there you go, everybody, there's some toys for kids. You enjoy some Batman-y thing, like, use the logo, but don't... Do what The Dark Knight did. When The Dark Knight came out, they did some stylized action figures for kids.
They did.
That weren't, like, going, look at... Like, I remember the box was like, Batman. And the Dark Knight logo was on the box somewhere.
Do what the Tim Burton movies did. Just reuse Super Friends molds.
Well, yeah, fuck it, why not? And just do variant paints to make them look closer to the character. So just do a penguin, any old penguin action figure, but give him the little purple shirt and the black coat and be like, there you go. There you go. It's Colin Farrell, everybody.
They bring back the Joker action figure with the little hole for the real squirting flower.
Good lord.
I used to have that.
The acid toy for children.
The acid toy for children.
But, yeah, like, it's weird that they're doing that. The McFarlane toys look garbage like McFarlane toys have done since they took over the DC license. Only a few of them ever look good when they do action figures now. The DC action figures, they look just odd. Likenesses especially. If they do comic book characters, it looks great.
Yeah, I think McFarlane toys look great.
Yeah.
But the likenesses for the DC stuff is bad.
Oh, God. If you're curious, folks, just look up McFarlane Toys, it's Bloodsport, isn't it?
Bloodsport and Peacemaker.
Bloodsport and Peacemaker unmasked, because the main figures have masks on, or helmet on in Peacemaker's
for good reason!
But the variant, the chase figures of them unmasked, and my God, like, it looks like someone's taken a photo of Idris Elba on an old Polaroid, but then rubbed their thumb against it as it's drying. It's just so bad. The Batman ones don't look much better. It's really weird. But even the tone of that all, the fact that there's kids' toys, but they're all just like depressed Oswald Cobblepot, and the Bruce Wayne action figure is him in like a sort of a combat suit with black makeup smudged all over his eyes, and it's just sort of like, what is this? Obviously, when we see the film, we'll get the context, but it's just like, this is the Bruce Wayne action figure?
Yeah, it's
just so weird. We have now watched the proper, from the director himself, 4K version of the clip. I'm a little more hopeful.
Yeah.
It still feels a bit more Nolan than I would like, but there's something odd about the tone that just sits right with me. There's a lot of very there's a lot of very comic book panel style shots in that sequence.
Yeah.
And it's a scene where there is no one in costume, there's no one flying around, there's no Batmobile, there's no big comic book action happening. But just like the shot of him, brief description of what happens. It's the funeral for a character.
Yep.
It's implied that the character or characters were the parent or parents of a young boy, which in itself is a moment where Bruce Wayne's just looking over at this kid on a seat, processing what's happening, and everything that's happening on Robert Pattinson's face, as subtle as it is, tells you everything you need to know about whether or not the people making this at least understand Batman.
Yes.
It's like, yeah, there we go. He's looking at himself, age 8, and is just, he knows what that kid is going through. Brilliant. Superb. Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's getting ready for the funeral. You hear that one of the police officers is still missing. Gordon's talking to the chief of police, played by Con O'Neill, the wonderful fucking Con O'Neill.
Yep.
Joining British actors playing superior officers in Batman movies after Colin McFarlane played Commissioner Loeb in the Nolan trilogy. What are you up to, Gordon? Skip to Toast to Tinseltown. Woof! $3 million. He's so good. So they're discussing that this officer called Coulson's missing. And then there's gunfire and screeching car noises outside the church. And just before a car comes smashing through the front of the church and crashes into the pulpit, Bruce notices this figure just watching from the balcony above, staring seemingly down at him. And then this car shows up covered in graffiti that says DOA, which is a really creepy sort of, like, obvious, but like unique threat, essentially. Just like, smash, like, why does it say, oh no. And then a guy steps out, the police officer Coulson, strapped with a bomb around his neck, gaffer tape over his mouth, a cell phone in his hand that he's indicating that he needs to answer, and the police, of course, all surrounded him, and that's where the clip ends. That's it. And then that little tag.
Well, they start evacuating the building, don't they?
Yeah. So many shots in it just look like a panel from a kind of 2000s, like, who's your Ed Brubaker, or, you know, anything from sort of the Snyder Capullo run.
Matt Reeves has described this as sort of more of a detective story, so it makes sense that it's very, you know, I mean, depending on what artist he's working with, it makes sense that it feels sort of like Brubakery in its
It
structure.
feels like GCPD or the Black Glove,
which is definitely what they think they're going for.
Yeah, it's the Black Glove, isn't it? It's the name of that story.
Black Mirror.
Black Mirror, that's the one.
Yeah, Black Glove is I think that's Grant Morrison.
Yeah, it's
very not Grant Morrison.
Yeah, no, yeah.
There's no
Black Mirror. Like this feels obviously it's not the same setting, but it feels like Dick Grayson's Batman disguised in that auction, and it's like that kind of creeping vibe, and especially the shot of what we presume is Paul Dano.
Yeah,
Edward Nashton.
There's a lot of shadow profiles stuff. Like I really like the shot of Bruce listening in to Gordon's conversation. You just see Gordon and the Chief faces in like out of focus in the foreground of the shot. Foreground profile, yeah.
Because Bruce isn't watching them; he's listening to them. It's just the shots of Rob Battenbat doesn't have a single line in this.
No, he doesn't say anything,
and he's doing a lot.
Yeah, as Rob Pattinson does. You know, he's a very facey actor. He's a very expressive.
He knows that you can say more with your eyes than you can with the dialogue.
Yeah.
Which is,
Well, that's how he got through all the Twilight movies, with his eyes just saying, help me.
One of the few reasons I still have Tumblr on my phone is every now and again I'll go back and I'll look up a blog I followed years ago called Robert Pattinson is Done With This, something like that. And it's just him in the press junkets for the Twilight films being very openly like, I think this is garbage. Or wording it a little more eloquently than that. And it's kind of wonderful because you go, sometimes actors do things for a paycheck and can't lie during the junket. They just can't do it.
Well, he gets to do The Lighthouse with
SNL star Willem Dafoe. Have you seen any of his skits?
No.
Pretty great. He's having a fucking ball.
I did. My attention was drawn the other day to a Lars von Trier interview from back when Antichrist came out.
Yes.
In which
that was late 2000s, early 2010s.
In which Lars von Trier reveals that Willem Dafoe's penis is so unbelievably large in not like unbelievably large, but in context of Willem Dafoe, that they had to have a penis double for Antichrist because everyone was just confused by how big Willem Dafoe's penis was.
Willem Dafoe's he's not a towering individual. He's sort of a small, wiry guy. And apparently it was distracting enough that they were like, we need to get someone else's penis in frame.
We need to get someone else's penis to ejaculate blood.
Yeah.
I've still never seen Antichrist. I know that happens in it. That's probably why I've never seen Antichrist. I get the whole,
I've never seen Antichrist. But I have seen the penis that they replaced William Dafoe's with an Antichrist. And it's a very non-distracting penis.
I understand why you want to make an audience feel uncomfortable for how long the film is. But I don't want to feel uncomfortable for that long by you throwing sexual violence my way.
There are certain films where you know that you'll watch them once, you'll get everything you need from them, and then you'll never touch them again. And there are others where, you still enjoy them, but you are hesitant to go back to watch them because you know that it's one of my favourite movies ever is Dead Man's Shoes.
Yes, but it's a fucking hard watch.
I can't just put it on.
It is a hard watch.
It's got to be. I think the excuse I use to watch it is I'm like, you've never seen it. I think you'd really take a lot from it. Good. We're going to watch it. That's the sort of situation. I make new friends just so I can show them Dead Man's Shoes, so I can have an excuse to watch Dead Man's Shoes. After that, I ghost them forever. Yeah. Off they fuck. Fuck off, as Billy Connolly says. Off you will fuck.
Get back in your car. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to hit you.
It's like, see, I've got you. Right, it was just... Paddy Considine is fucking incredible in that. I do like Shane Meadows' movies. I really do. But again, this is England. Another one I own and I've watched maybe twice in my life because it's so tough to watch. It's so tough to watch. Another one I watched before I went away to Panto, Possum, Matthew Holness's movie.
Oh yeah, I've still not watched that yet.
I can't revisit that anytime soon. But I'm glad I own it, and I love the fact that if I want to put it back on, I can. But I'm like,
and it's weird. I haven't seen some of the other bits of Matthew Holness's work, which you've mentioned in great fondness.
I've met writers who use subtext, and they're all cowards.
And to imagine him doing a very straight, very disturbing horror movie.
Oh yeah, he's. The Batman. I like how it looks. I've liked Matt. I've liked Matt Reeves since his Two Apes movies, and when he was announced as director for this, I was like, he will be interesting. When he did the first DC fandom, it was like, oh, you seem really great and like you're enjoying this. This is going to be really cool. And the trailers have put me off. This preview clip, I think I'm back on board.
Yeah, I mean, I was never not on board, but it's just, I don't think it's going to be as comic booky a Batman as I want. But I don't know if I'll ever get as comic booky a Batman as I want, because I feel like Warner Brothers are cowards. And
for the love of fuck, either Catwoman or Penguin have to willingly name themselves that by the end of the movie. If both of them get their names from nicknames and they're like, don't call me Dad, or like, well, if you want to call me, like, no. One of them, at least one of them, has to accept it or come up with the name themselves, and I'll be happy. Because then it means we're not playing out in that world again, where it's like, like, oh, the hero's named because a newspaper names them. And all that shit. I'm like, no, own up to the camp.
Yeah.
The one point that the Dark Knight does have is that the Joker is like, yeah, I'm called the Joker. Like, that's my name.
Yeah.
I'm the Joker, baby. Like, it's just, that's his, and it's teased in the previous movie.
I'm the Joker, that
there is a
baby!
criminal out there called the Joker. Like,
I love that yeah.
No one ever
I wish we had that scene, though.
When does Scarecrow actually call himself Scarecrow? It's toward the end, isn't it? Of the first one.
I don't think he ever really calls himself Scarecrow.
That's a good point.
Because
every time he appears, every subsequent appearance, they really do a thing of like calling him Dr. Crane. His name's Dr. Crane. It's like, it's the fucking Scarecrow!
He's a Scarecrow. Then his victims say Scarecrow because of the mask.
Scarecrow. Yeah. I like how this looks. I hope I like how it feels inside me.
Yeah, I've had that experience.
Speaking of things warming my heart, let's look at March.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Ooh,
please describe what you see.
It's a little squinty, fluffy one.
I'd say that's a marble cake.
Yeah, it's a marble cake chihuahua. Very fluffy marble cake look we're going for
Fuzzy
here.
boy.
On a lovely green grass background. Only small ears. Well, these lovely sort of triangle patterns above its eyes, which are very gently squinting at you. It's a lovely chocolate brown nose. It's a good look. It's a good look. Can I tell you about something that I've watched on Netflix recently?
Absolutely.
I started watching on Netflix.
Yeah, absolutely.
While we take a break from the puppies.
Yeah, bless the puppies.
I started watching Archive 81 on Netflix.
Pray tell, what is Archive 81? He says, sort of knowing, but
Archive
context.
81 is a horror podcast about a...
Yes. That's why when you said it, I was like,
yes.
I'm sure that's an audio thing.
Yeah, it's about someone who is tasked with restoring some old tapes. But the tapes are in such bad condition that they have to go to this sort of isolated facility to do the restoration. And
so that they don't like get tainted by the air when they're taken out.
Yeah, exactly. Because it turns out that these tapes are the remains of a woman's investigation into the oral history of a apartment building that burned down, and the tapes are fire damaged, so that's why they can't be moved. As he goes into investigating and restoring these tapes, weird stuff starts happening, and continues to happen as sort of the past as captured by the tapes and the present as experienced by the restorer and the nature of reality all start to bleed into one another. And Archive 81 on Netflix is a TV show adaptation of that podcast. I didn't finish the podcast. I listened to like the first 2 seasons and then just fell off it. Not because it was bad, just because I listened to all sorts of stuff. And I've watched the first 4 episodes of the Netflix series. And I like what they've done with the concept. I don't like some of the changes they've made to the characters. But on the whole, I think it is a pretty strong, very atmospheric horror show. I'll be interested to see where it goes, but I've started it off and I'm enjoying it so far. It gives me very Nia DaCosta's Candyman vibes.
Okay, which I still need to watch.
It's got a black central lead. It's got that sort of orchestral music. Not orchestral. It's minimalist. But it's creepy.
Yeah.
Almost music boxy. So it does put me in a bit of a Candyman vibe, but what Candyman does that this doesn't do is actually use the sort of racial makeup of its cast for anything.
Yeah.
Because it is so isolated. The thing that I don't like about it is, if I remember correctly, there is the person that is in the footage on the old tapes is a lesbian, and her girlfriend is one of the characters. In this, they're roommates.
Oh my god, they were roommates.
And they're implying that there might be some sort of romantic attachment between her and the present author, like in terms of like a growing attraction as they examine the footage, and I don't like that.
Yeah, because that is like taking something away from it. Really.
Gay erasure. So that's.
But also from that whole thing of like, oh, so is there a new angle you want to explore? Yeah, but to do so, we're taking away something that like
it just
still
feels
isn't exactly commonplace.
And that might be me misremembering the podcast. I do need to go back and listen to it again. But I think I'm right about that. And it does feel a bit strange.
Like, even if that wasn't the intent, just create a new character.
Yeah. So
you're not, like, getting rid of that character's arc from the original. You're telling a story with a different person.
Yeah. In terms of... And
if you want to bring in those other characters at some point, you have the option to.
Yes. It also, the other thing that puts me in mind of Nia DaCosta's Candyman is that is the sort of the ongoing questioning of reality that comes from the central character as sort of the mystery deepens, and the sort of possibility that the people that he does interact with are not necessarily who they seem to be, and But, on the whole, I think it's very atmospheric, very creepy. I'm really interested to see where it goes, because the podcast goes places. And I will be very, very impressed if they go to the same places.
Okay.
But, early days. I've watched a few episodes. I'm enjoying it. I will watch more and report back, I guess. Is that how this works?
I think so.
Okay.
So it's sort of like in terms of supernatural horror, is it sort of SCP kind of vibes?
I could see it being a specific SCP, but not like a. I don't think. Again, unless I'm wrong, or I'm misremembering it, I don't feel like there's an archival part of a larger organisation. But I could be wrong about that.
Is there an anthology sort of feel to it?
No.
Because then obviously there's a continuous narrative, but
it is the story of this guy investigating this one set of tapes.
Okay. Because I was wondering whether the tapes would each kind of give a new angle.
No.
Okay.
I would like to see some SCP stuff adapted. I need to check out their podcast, actually. The SCP podcast stuff, because I remember having a lot of fun on the wikis back in 2012. And then I was chatting to someone about it the other day, and they mentioned that the podcast stuff was really good, so I need to check that out.
I was made aware of it.
Horror podcast.
Playing Control on my Twitch.
Oh god, yeah, Control.
A few of my viewers were like, you would love this, and I stayed up very late one night reading this story about someone who gets lost in an IKEA.
Yeah.
And it's one of those where it starts as like oh god, isn't it funny that, we all sort of go, oh, fucking hell, which way am I going in IKEA? And it just devolves into this thing where you go, oh.
There is
this person's like not in our world anymore.
There is one that
there are others out there who are also lost in this like sub level of reality inside a big fucking furniture shop.
There's one that I'm quite fond of, which is a tape recording of a basketball game that's stuck in a time loop. On each viewing, the time loop's further on, and the people in the footage have sort of like Lord of the Flies it.
Oh shit!
And you see the sort of society form and degenerate within this time loop with this just repeated basketball game every time it's looped.
That's so creepy.
Yeah, there's some really smart stuff on there.
Because that's the thing. The ideas, some of them are surface level goofy ideas.
Yeah.
And then you get 4 paragraphs in and you go, okay, this is actually kind of chilling.
And I remember it being like a source of some controversy and also confidence in that the editors would find stuff that was just like that felt like bad creepypasta and not good creepypasta, and just get rid of it.
Yeah.
So
creepypasta can be fun in that base level, like, oh, that gave me a bit of a chill. But so much of it is just narratively awful.
Yeah, there is good creepypasta, there is bad creepypasta, and the SCP stuff that I've come across is mostly in the good creepypasta territory. And I kind of see it just having a tangential relationship to Archive 81 in the sense of it, and Control as well. Well, Control is basically an unofficial adaptation of SCP stuff. But yeah, I think they're all it's a good triumvirate of stuff. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to the podcast more because I didn't finish it, and I'm intrigued to see now with the show more fresh in mind, and I'm intrigued to see the parallels more.
I'm looking forward to getting back into Welcome to Night Vale because it was before the first lockdown. It was my gym podcast.
Yeah,
I'd gone right to the very beginning, and I'd listened to about 5 of them during a gym session.
Yeah.
So about an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes listening to 5 of them, and it was great because it was hilarious, like to be on the bike and try and be motivated and just chuckling along, like this is ridiculous, I love it, and then the guest music being like this is really cool, and then so I need to get back into that, but Archive 81, that's another one I have to check out.
The Apple H one.
Apple H?
Apple H. Apple H, what's it called?
Apple H, that rings a bell. I think you've mentioned this.
Yes, I have. What's his name? I've not listened to it for a bit because I've been waiting for them to bank up a couple of episodes.
I do that sometimes. I'm just like, come on, give me a few in a go.
All Gods of Apple H.
Yes, you have talked about that.
Yes, that's worth it.
I think that's on my Spotify. Liked.
Yes.
Speaking of liking things, well, let's touch on April. April's boy has got little chubby cheeks. He looks like a fox.
We're back to the short, very similar to February. We're back to the short hair. Might even be the same dog. Back to the short hair and big pointy pink ears. That lovely black nose. A little softer expression. Not quite as begrudging middle-aged man taking a picture with someone he doesn't really like a black person. Less of that energy.
This isn't a racist dog.
Yeah.
It is sat in a basket though with a blanket. Maybe that's why it looks so
it's
comfy.
possible, yeah. It's like, I'm comfy now.
We move on to May.
I've overcome my racial prejudices. So, this one is... again, we're back to fluffy, but not completely white. We are mostly white with this lovely sort of domino mask / El Diablo Fantastic Four mask, brown patterning around the eyes, going onto the ears, and these lovely spots around the nose and make him look like he's wearing a Dalmatian's face, peeled fresh from the corpse. I'm going to give this one a January out of May.
Oh, speaking of May, do you know what I've revisited this
What's
week?
that?
I've been binging The Spectacular Spider-Man.
The Spectacular Spider-Man?
So,
which Spectacular Spider-Man?
The animated series.
The animated series, The Spectacular Spider-Man.
Because both of its 2 seasons are currently on UK Netflix.
Well, shit.
Labelled as 1 season of 26 episodes, which is really annoying, because it's like there's not an obvious season break, but like the arc of Series 1 and the arc of Series 2 do sort of have an obvious end and beginning when it comes to the story of the big man and then the master planner stuff.
Sure.
But my God, that show is the best adaptation of Spider-Man in animated form. It really is.
Bold claim, but I like it.
It's so good. Well, the reason I went looking for it is because I own Series 1 on DVD. Series 2 never got a Region 2 DVD release, so I had to buy it on iTunes back in the day. So, yeah, I've still got it. But I really, really, really wanted to see what the Sony deal was going to be like Spider-Man for Disney Plus, because we know that later this summer Sony's streaming rights are moving to Disney Plus for the Spider-Man properties.
Yes.
And other Marvel properties, so things like Ghost Rider.
Can't wait to see Spirit of Vengeance again. Yeah,
they're gonna start showing up. I wonder what the issue is with some of the Fox movies.
Is it Ghost Rider or Spirit of Vengeance where he pisses flame?
Spirit of Vengeance.
Yeah, because that's the one that's fun.
That's the one with Idris Elba and Anthony Stewart Head, Kieran Hines. Yeah, Kieran Hines takes over from Peter Fonda as not Mephisto, because we just never name him, but it's obviously Mephisto.
Obviously.
I mean, for fuck's sake, his son is Blackheart, so it's Mephisto.
Yeah.
But we're not going to call him Mephisto. But yeah, it's...
what Fox movies? What are you thinking?
Well, the Fox movies, like Fantastic Four's still not showing up on Disney Plus.
Rise
Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer's been on there since day one.
And Four Stick's on there.
Yeah. But no, Fantastic
Weird,
Four 2005, which is very strange.
Got to be caught up in some rights thing.
But
maybe they realised that the plot of Rise of the Silver Surfer is mostly the same as Fantastic Four, so they just put the one on there.
Pretty much.
The one that's got the Silver Surfer in.
Yeah, but it's not got the whipped cream prank. Remember the whipped cream prank?
Oh, great.
Do you remember the whipped cream prank?
I know the whipped cream prank. I've seen the whipped cream prank.
How does he feel that? How does Ben Grimm feel that?
Presumably, there's some...
How does he feel a tickle on his face?
Presumably, there is some silicate nervous tissue that which we have heretofore misunderstood or don't really understand or know how to detect. And so he does have full sensation all over his giant, orange, hunky, rocky, angular,
ever-loving,
chiseled,
blue-eyed face.
Blue-eyed body. So every part of him is as sensitive as the tip of a finger. So
on Yancey Street, they call it foreplay.
So yeah,
I can love the Thing. I love him. He's so good.
Michael Chiklis was a great thing.
He was great, wasn't he? Part of me's like, you know, when you get around to it for the new one, just cast Chiklis again.
You could just chast Chiklis. Chast Chiklis again.
Chast Chiklis. De-age him for like pre-thing Ben Grimm. You've done it for whole movies for like Samuel L. Jackson, Willem Dafoe, Alfred Molina. You can do it for Michael Chiklis and then just stick him in the prosthetics again. He won't give a shit. He'll be like, yeah, all right. Don't do that. Cast someone who you can use for more films.
You know what I think would be a really weird left field pick for Ben Grimm?
Well, go on.
You're going to hate this one.
Am I?
Seth Rogen.
I don't hate that. I honestly don't hate that. And I'll tell you for why. The guy does have acting chops.
We do. He does.
He most recently has been very open about shittier people shouldn't have successes and we should call them out.
And distancing himself from former close...
as recently as 2015, close friend. 2017.
Close
Disaster Artist was a 2017 movie?
Close friends
2018.
and close colleagues and collaborators.
Was it 2017 or 2018?
2017, I think.
Oh my god, yeah. And after that, the accusations came out. And for him to distance himself immediately like that suggests that he either believes the accusations completely, or he was like, this was always going to come back to haunt you, dude.
Yeah.
I'm off. Goodbye. I'm sorry. No, I'm not defending you. This is fucking gross. But yeah, also just like watching him in interviews talking about like his actual weed business and everything now, he seems like such an altogether, again, don't stand people, stand their work.
Indeed.
But he seems like a really, really altogether nice guy. So I buy it. Plus, you are completely leaping into Ben's Jewish heritage.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you would have an actor who would relish the challenge of like, I don't really want to get buff, but I'll motion capture a big orange buff guy.
Yeah.
Like, why not? You know? That's not a bad casting, actually. That's really good.
You heard it here first, guys. Look out for it in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Seth Rogen's Ben Grimm. Along with John Krasinski's Reed Richards. No. It's not happening, is it?
Not happening.
It's not happening.
Do you know what I think's going to happen? I think we're going to get Emily Blunt's Sue Storm, but we're not going to get John Krasinski's Reed Richards.
Yeah, because Reed Richards is going to be someone else. Reed Richards is going to be that dude from The Good Place, and everyone's going to be pissed off because he's black.
He'd be a great pick. I know exactly who you mean, because Lucy used to watch Good Place.
What's his bloody name? Plays Chidi in The Good Place. The Good Place. Is it? Yeah. William Jackson Harper.
William Jackson Harper.
Yeah, it's great in Midsommar as well.
WJH. But also, we might not get Emily Blunt because she was very openly sort of like, stop asking me questions about a movie that isn't happening and I'm not involved in a press junket not too long ago.
Yeah.
So maybe she'd be like, shut up now. And no.
I mean, yeah, it's a good way to sour someone and being in a project is keeping asking them about if they're going to do this project or not.
Yeah. And again, it also would be wonderfully cyclical if both she and John were in it, not necessarily because of the casting or because of their actual real-life marital status, but the fact that one was Captain America very briefly in talks, and the other was Black Widow until scheduling conflicts meant they had to recast the part. Such a weird thought, that, isn't it? It's like, that was nearly Captain America and Black Widow.
It's true.
So, why not be like, yeah, fuck it, you could be Mr. Fantastic and the Invisible Woman.
Is their couple name like Gemily or Eon?
So,
what the fuck are we talking about?
Spectacular Spider-Man
Yeah.
is not on Disney Plus yet, and I don't know if it will end up on Disney Plus, because we know that the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie is going to come in this deal. The two Amazing Spider-Man movies are going to show up in the deal. Homecoming, Far From Home, and No Way Home will be there from the moment the deal kicks in. Venom and Venom Let There Be Carnage will be in there. Morbius will be in the deal.
Oh, great.
If it ever comes out.
Yeah, that was supposed to come out this month, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, then put back.
I don't remember hearing about it at all. Almost like they've just forgotten about it. Do you think that Jared Leto burned some bridges with his Luigi impression in House of Gucci? And look at that fucking character. Why would you even cast Jared Leto as someone who looks like that?
When I saw the trailer,
what the fuck are you doing?
When I saw the trailer, I was like, surely there must be sequences set in the past.
Yeah.
And they're doing a Guy Pearce, which still was pointless, but a Guy Pearce Prometheus thing, where like in Prometheus it's like, Guy Pearce is playing this elderly character, but if you watched all the viral marketing stuff, you'll see they used him.
Pearce,
yeah, which they then kind of cashed in on with Alien Covenant by having a big flashback at the beginning, and you're like, okay, sure, there he is as a young man, fine, whatever. But it's you know, I thought maybe that's what they were going to do. No, there's no flashbacks in the film of Jared Leto's character as a young man, so it's like, why? But then again, I'm feeling the same way about Colin Farrell with the Batman.
Yeah,
I'm like, I love him, and he'll play the part brilliantly.
No doubt.
But why not just cast a larger, like, bald or
why
balding...
not just cast Michael Chiklis?
Chiklis would be... I mean, come on. In a world where we're never going to see Chiklis' Kingpin, he would make a pretty great Penguin.
Dean Norris's Penguin. I'd watch that.
Dean Norris's Penguin. Should we just name all the people in that Adam Buxton song? Moby.
Heston Blumenthal's Penguin.
Michael Stipe. Moby. Bruce Willis.
Shut up and sit down, you big bald fuck.
Basically, Spectacular Spider-Man. I don't know if that'll come over, but it's crime that on Disney Plus there's a lot of Spider-Man animated series, and they're all shit.
It's a crime.
If you like them, dear listener, You're wrong. The 90s animated series is fucking garbage, and you're all deluded.
It's awful.
It's meme-worthy. It's absolutely meme-worthy. Venom driving a truck.
As
Shocker! I'll follow you to the ends of the earth! Like, it's meme-worthy. It's absolutely meme-worthy. But it is a garbage fire show that thinks you're stupid because it never stops for breath, ever.
Most of the animated shows from that period are garbage.
No, they're trying. They're just varying degrees of quality. The X-Men set a bar because it was beautifully animated and the casting was spot on for the voices, and it was very much, it hit at the perfect moment for X-Men fans. Like, it was, hey, you know that comic that's suddenly the biggest comic again? Boom! Here's an animated series. Fucking dive in. And it worked, and it has got a great soundtrack, and it's got some of the worst and most hilarious Scottish and Irish accents you'll ever hear in cartoons. But it commits the crime of Nightcrawler being in one episode about Nightcrawler. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with you guys? But you know, and then you get Hulk. The Hulk cartoon from the 90s isn't awful. It's just a bit
Yes.
The Iron Man cartoon is pretty awful. The Iron Man cartoon feels like it fell out of an 80s like hair metal music video, and then they went, oh, we have to make this into full episodes.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll just have the same recurring cast. Iron Man's not interesting. Let's give him a recurring cast of like 4 other heroes, and let's have the same like 5 villains show up in every story. It's like, what?
I mean, until they made a movie of him, they were right about that. Like, Iron Man wasn't interesting.
No, but I mean, like, in that show...
Do you know why no one goes back and reads Iron Man comics from pre the movie?
Pre the movies,
with the exception of Extremis and Demon in a Bottle. Because we're all crap.
Yeah. Iron Man became interesting to me as a reader.
Yeah.
As a kid, he looked interesting. He became interesting to me as a reader once he became essentially the bad guy through... sort of moral quandary, in Civil War.
By the
And I
way,
was like,
if you've-
this is interesting. He's a dick.
If you've read Extremis and you want to carry on that run, don't bother. It's not particularly good.
No. In fact, Extremis isn't amazing. It's just got some great stuff in it.
Yeah, and it looks good because Adam Grant.
It's like, it's like Hush. I love Hush. I'll always recommend Batman Hush to someone who wants to read a comic and they're like, don't know where to start. Well, read this. It's a blockbuster and it's in 12 chapters and you'll read it in one go and it's basically a movie with a shitload of Batman characters and you get to meet loads of people. But, like, it isn't perfect.
And
Any stretch of the imagination.
I'll always recommend people to Hush who are talking about Batman in a way that I find
Unsavoury.
Unsavoury.
But Spider-Man 90's animated series is garbage.
Yeah.
It is garbage.
Yeah, it is.
It's got some cool looks, but like that's sort of it. It's compromised in the weirdest way. Avi Arad's big old penis is in the mix at this point already because
Is it bigger than Willem Dafoe's?
No. But it does wear a beanie. So it does wear a beanie and it gets a special thank you for your services credit at the end.
Oh god, I forgot about that.
Oh god. But yeah, it's like, so there's a lot of Morbius. There is a shitload of Venom.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, for God's sake.
I say fond. I have memories of Morbius from
Felicia.
from fucking
Oh god.
from the 90s Spider-Man animated series.
The only cool thing it ever gave us, like genuinely cool thing it ever gave us, is their take on the 6-arm mutation turning into a man spider story.
Yeah, that was cool.
That involved Blade and Punisher.
Yeah.
And the characters like that having to get involved.
That Spider Slayer toy was fucking boss.
Yeah. The ironically cool thing it gave us is Punisher having a weird fucking headband with giant ties that just dangle behind his head all the time. I was like, what the fuck is this?
It was the 90s.
He had his van! He had his fucking van!
Battle van!
The battle van with microchip on the blower.
Jesus.
Hobgoblin never got a battle van in the show, though, I don't think. Because he had a van. That was one of Hobgoblin's things was he had a van.
We would have a van!
Hobgoblin had a van.
Fucking hell.
Hobgoblin had a fucking van.
A van?
Yeah, damn right. But yeah, the MTV Spider-Man is a one-off series. It's an interesting experiment. It's kind of cool, but it's not great. It's just cool. Spider-Man Unlimited. Fuck. I love in the Spider-Verse comic when you briefly visit that universe and Morlone has just gone on a feast and drained everyone. Yeah. He's like, they're all animals.
Yeah.
Fucking give them here.
Fantastic.
It's like, and P.S. Here's what happened to that universe.
It's a buffet.
The Spider Slayer. I really don't care for Ultimate Spider-Man. I think it's awful. It changes its genre 3 times throughout its run and doesn't know what it wants to be. Plus, it stars sex criminal Drake Bell. Spider-Man, Marvel Spider-Man, I never found my in. I've tried it, the current one. I've never found my in. I've just always found it to be really obnoxious. Even though it adapts a lot of things from the era I love the most of the character, like the Dan Slott big time to worldwide, kind of like that era. It just never, no. Like, I mean, they did their version of Superior, and I dipped into that and I was like, no, sorry, no. Spectacular Spider-Man, the Sony and Columbia animated series from the 2009-2010. That's the best animated Spider-Man. Yeah. It's currently on Netflix. I urge you all to give it a go. If you have Netflix, please give it a go. Kick up a stink, drive up its viewer numbers, and make Sony go, maybe we should include this in the Disney Plus deal as well. Because I'd like to have all my Spidey in one place, please. Filthy. filthy time.
Yes, it is filthy.
Let's take a quick peek.
I hope you get it.
Look at June.
June is twins.
Twinsies.
Oh, little tiny
twinsies.
chihuahuas, very little hair. They look quite young because they've got quite a bit of extra skin around the chest and stuff. Tiny little, nothing too pink on the ears. Little black patches on the.
I wasn't
noses.
expecting there to be 2.
No.
Just like I wasn't expecting this week's episode of Boba Fett
to not feature Boba Fett.
And furthermore, to basically just be Mandalorian Series 2 bonus episode.
Yeah.
Holy...
I mean, I don't hate it.
I didn't hate it.
No means do I hate it. Bit weird, though.
Yeah, a bit strange, but very Clone Wars. Spoilers ahead for the Book of Boba Fett, Episode 5, a.k.a. The Return of the Mandalorian.
Get straight up The Return of the Mandalorian.
Title says what it does on the tin.
It does.
So after last week's cliffhanger to Mandalorian fans meant us all... We all went, oh, cool, like... Mando's going to get involved as the hired muscle. Or for anyone who's never seen The Mandalorian, to not understand the music cue and think the cliffhanger was Boba Fett learned that goods can be exchanged, money can be exchanged for goods and services.
Which we get a more sort of reinforcement of as a concept throughout this episode.
Yeah, oh god, yeah. We cut to Din Djarin, the Mandalorian.
The titular Mandalorian.
On the job. He's taking bounties, he's kicking ass and taking names. Gets one of the most badass lines, which, you know, it's not a brand new bit of dialogue. Versions of this have been given in many a different thing, but one of the most badass lines I've seen in a family-friendly Star Wars series in a while. I can bring you in hot, or I can bring you in cold. To his bounty, which I thought was wonderful, because like up to that point the bounty kind of held the room.
Yeah.
And then as soon as he said that, you felt the panic. Even through this like rubbery mask, you felt the panic of, oh shit. Like, oh, okay. Like, yes. I'm bartering my way out. This situation might not work if I can't speak because I'm dead. Oh god. So Din's on the job, getting up to mischiefs, and he finds that it turns out what he's after is information, because we learn that the Armourer, so the head of the Mandalorian sect that he reported to in Series 1 of Mandalorian, she's around. She and her big enforcer guy, the guy with the big Gatling gun, who I think is voiced by Jon Favreau.
He is, because he's a descendant of Pre Vizsla.
Right, well that explained it. Yeah. Of course, yes! Yes! Because that plays into this. Because, yeah, he played Pre Vizsla in Clone Wars and the whole Siege of Mandalore and the original appearances of the Darksaber in the current canon and everything. But we first saw this Mandalorian in Series 1 of The Mandalorian with a big fuck-off giant minigun firing lasers at stormtroopers. Now we get to see him turning on Mando, because we finally get discussion on, like, we don't find out what happened in the moments after the end of Mandalorian Series 2. No. We can presume that Bo-Katan Kryze is out there wondering what the fuck she needs to do now, because she wanted a cautionary tale. She wanted the Darksaber. She can't take it without basically fighting Mando to the death. Like, that's what she has to do to claim it off of him. So she's in between a rock and a hard place. The thing she's wanted for at least 3 decades now. Yes. She's looking good. Like, the thing she's wanted for a while requires killing an ally who actually, like, helped turn things around. Yes. So, yeah, that. I'm sure that drama is something that will be followed up in Mando Series 3, which we're getting next December. Yes. This December.
AKA Book of Boba Fett Season 2.
Yeah. Which will
AKA Dark Forces 5.
Yeah. AKA, look at all these helmets. Look at all those helmets. So, Jesus. So, yeah, we... Fucking hell. So we learn that Beskar should only be armour. Only the armour. The armour is like... Because that's the thing as well. Series 2 of Mando deals with, when he meets Bo-Katan and that, deals with the fact that, yes, he was taken in by Mandalorian people. Yes. And was raised as a Mandalorian from a young age. But it might be that he's with the cultists. Yes. And he's never quite, like, come to terms with... Like, you can see him sort of start to reflect upon himself in Series 2.
Yeah. Which leads us to where we get to in this.
Where he's like, no, everything's fine. Like, this is the way. This is all that shit. Like, he goes back to her. And she's like, oh, that spear that helped you save the day and fight off the Darksaber. Yeah. Yeah, no, fucking melt it. That's abhorrent that you've got that. That's appalling. Yeah. So she melts it down, but at least she goes like, so what do you want it to be? And he chooses to create...
a gift for Grogu.
Which looks like it might be a chainmail, like a tunic or
I think it's something on a chain.
Oh, okay. Because we see chains.
Chain links. I think it's something on a chain.
So we don't see what it is, but it's wrapped up in a little handkerchief that very deliberately is tied to look like sort of the silhouette of Grogu's little head. Mm-hmm. Which is so fucking cute. But yeah, that is after he is challenged by this other Mandalorian who's like, yeah, no, I've got right to that blade, motherfucker. And when it comes time for Mando to deal the killing blow, but he won't do it because he's like, this is unnecessary bloodshed. Like, I'm sorry, I don't understand why you're all so like death packed around this fucking sword. Like, what is wrong with you?
It's very odd.
The armourer's like, yeah, no, you've won. You can spare him. Obviously, based on their creed, this other one's then going to live in shame. Yeah. Except this other one comes out morally in the clear based on their beliefs, because she asks in that moment, have you ever removed your helmet? Ever? And he's like, no. And she turns to Mando and she's like, have you ever removed your helmet? And he doesn't say anything. And it made me realise, like, hang on, so when he was taking it off, like, in personal quiet moments with no one around...
That's fine.
Is that fine?
Yeah.
Because I was trying to think back to Clone Wars, and I was like, they don't really delve into that side of Mandalore
They don't.
too much. Like, you see the beginnings of the fanatics in the whole story with the Death Watch and everything. Like, the Death Watch aren't like that. But Mandalorian society isn't that strict at first.
No, so they are extremists.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's one of those.
So it's like, is it one of those where you just can't take it off full stop? But of course, like, we've seen it off. Last series made a point of him having the helmet off in front of a couple people.
Yeah. He had to basically make the choice between keeping his helmet on and keeping the creed, or doing what he needs to do to save Grogu.
Yeah. Series 1, he takes it off in front of IG-11.
Yeah.
But that is literally and IG-11 makes the argument of like, I need to check on your vitals.
Yeah.
I'm not alive. I'm not a living person. I'm a droid. Let me fucking look at your, like, I need to see your face, motherfucker. So he does it, and and that was the lovely moment at the end of Series 1 where you're like, it actually is Pedro Pascal. Yeah. There he is. He's got a mustache. How does he keep that under the helmet? He's trimmed that well.
It's built in.
Hair's greasy, but mustache looks nice. Just keeps nicking him under the helmet. That's why he's so surly. Series 2, he takes it off during the mission that he's on. He takes off his other helmet during the mission that he's on with Bill Burr's character. And then, which is such a big moment, but it was there to remind you how important it is to him, because then you get him removing it to say goodbye to Grogu.
Yeah.
At the end of Series 2. And it's like, which is the first time he takes it off, not out of necessity. He chooses to do it. Off, yeah. To bond with his fucking space son. Let's be honest.
My space son.
So the fact that that's what rules him out is great. I also love the idea that the sword is harder to wield if you doubt
your ability to
wield it. It's like, oh, that's interesting.
It's a very weird sort of like, we're back to spirituality.
Religion magic.
Yeah.
Faith magic. Fagic. Wait, no, hang on.
Fagic, yeah.
And so he buggers off on a commercial flight, which is wonderful. We get to see commercial flights in Star Wars. There's a nice little nod to your theme park nerds. We saw a version of like the same droid that Rex is in the casino. We now have them working at the airport terminals, which makes sense.
Weapons.
Which makes sense because they can pilot Star Tours vehicles, so of course they'd be there at the airports. That was such a lovely sequence.
It's just like pulling all of his bits and pieces out.
Like, we've all been there. Yeah. We've all gone through the detector and be like, what is it? Oh, it's my fucking belt, but give me a minute. And you take everything out. So that was really fun. It was also fun to see commercial flights in Star Wars. It's like, not everyone owns a ship. Yeah, sometimes people like get planes between planets.
I love that the little kid that says hello to him in that call back later, in the concept art, that was originally a human kid.
Yeah.
So they've then gone and made the choice, actually, let's make it a Rhodian.
Yeah.
Just to make it a bit more...
Because we can still tell the story.
Yeah.
Like, we still tell that story like with the mask and with the physicality of the performer. It could have been that they just got the kid in. The kid went, wow, that mask looks cool. And they went, do you want to wear the mask?
Yeah.
We don't have to pay him as much if it's not his face.
And the big fingers.
So he goes back to MVP of both these bitches, Amy Sedaris.
Yeah, Pelimoto returns once again.
On Tatooine, we get a first full focused shot of a Womp Rat being a little pest.
Oh yeah. Much bigger in the concept art again.
Do you know what's really fun about that scene where she sort of like gets grabbed by it? It's very pantomimey, like her being dragged behind the crate. I was like, the direction of this one, now that we're out of the coldness of that shit.
Yeah.
There's a bit more of a bounce to this direction. Like the serious moments are serious, and I called it before the end credits. I was like, this feels like a Bryce Dallas Howard episode from Mando.
Yeah.
And then end credits start, the credits directed Bryce Dallas Howard. I was like, and that's why.
That fucking Wanner as well, when he's going from dropping off his bounty to going to the covert.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
He gets off the ship, and it's all one shot. Because he
leaves them and he gets in the elevator as well. Yeah, and the shot goes with him.
Yeah.
In a way where you're like, that's not green screen. That's the big fucking the screen behind them doing that, and then they're just resetting some practical things in the foreground. Yeah. It's like this. I think that's what it was. it was like some of her visual flair is becoming more apparent the more I see of her work as a director. Yes. But it was also like, this is someone who's played in this sandbox before and is having fun with it. Because it's like Robert Rodrigo's episode of Mando Series 2, the Tragedy. To me, I think that was location shooting mostly. And that suits him because Rodrigo's really good with like location shooting stuff. Like, he can work within studios and green screen. That's why he's made a shitload of Spy Kids movies and Shark Boy and Lava Girl and stuff, and Sin City. But like, when you take him into locations, you know, El Mariachi especially, like that trilogy, he makes it work so well. He can make a desert feel like a significant location and not just a patch of land.
Yes.
And he's done some good work with the episodes he's directed this series as well of Book of Boba Fett. But Bryce Dallas Howard is like, oh yeah, no, I've played in that. What's it called? Is it The Echo?
No, it's not The Echo.
The Expanse.
That's a TV series.
The Void.
The
Chamber.
The Chamber.
The Bollocks.
No.
The Egg. The Big Telly.
What's it called? Virtual sets. What's it called? It's called something daft. It's called something really daft. What's it called? It's an LED wall. What's it fucking called?
Live Googling right now,
called
folks.
Something. It's an LED wall.
There's at least one listener yelling at the phone right now.
I can't hear you. I honestly cannot hear you. Doesn't even have it on there. It doesn't even tell me what it's called. It's telling me what it does. It doesn't tell me what it's called. I know what it's called. I know what it does.
Right, I'm going to look it up separate.
I know what it does.
On a different source. You tell...
And I... the volume!
The volume! There we go.
Jesus!
We got that. Jesus is involved.
Jesus built it.
Jesus is my co-pilot.
He built my hot rod.
So, what's it called again?
The volume.
That's the one. So, the volume...
I told you it was something stupid.
Is that like this felt like a director who's used it and knows what to do with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was cool. It was cool to see Bryce back, or rather feel that she was back. So that's good. Pedro Pascal, I think he probably did shoot a lot of this.
Possibly.
Like, why not? Because, you know, it was shot during lockdowns and coronavirus conditions for studios.
But that's one of the things.
You remain masked and you don't have to be near everybody. Probably earns more money from being on set as well as doing the ADR. So in he comes.
Him and the doubles do such a good job of making it one seamless performance that you honestly can't.
You can't tell when that. Yeah, because I think there's something like there is a height difference between them that is like a good few inches.
Yeah.
So someone like they looked into it and they were like, okay, so there is a bit of a physical difference, but because of the way they're shot and because of the fact that their performances are so symbiotic, like they've clearly worked together on the physicality of this character, or one has worked on the physicality and the other has studied the opposite and gone, right, I'm going to match that to a T. And maybe they even consult. Maybe they talk about how they'd play that scene.
I think they go into that a bit in the behind the scenes stuff.
I need to watch the Gallery Series 2.
Yeah,
well, Series 2, it's just one episode, isn't it?
But it does seem like that is the case.
And yeah, he goes back to Tatooine and is like, you promised me that you'd have a Razor Crest, so I'm spending this money on a Razor Crest.
It doesn't have
and she's
a Razor Crest.
Yeah, I don't have that, but I do have this thing that I think would be a perfect match for you.
You've got to help me.
You've kind of arrived way early, so you could fuck off for a bit, and then he just sticks around and builds it. And it's a Naboo,
it's customized Naboo M1 Starfighter.
The moment she revealed it, I was like, I got this weird feeling of, oh! Ooh. And then I went, oh my god, we're at the point now where episode 1 things make me go, ooh! That's weird.
I mean, to be fair, the Naboo M1 Starfighter has always made me go, ooh!
It's a pretty
design,
shit. Yeah. And again, like, first episode of the prequels sets up the idea that the galaxy doesn't always just look like everything's made of junk. No.
These are individually handmade, they're not mass-produced.
That was a cool idea. Like, yeah, these because they're the Royal Fleet from Naboo. Yeah. Commissioned. This one is one of the lot that was commissioned by Queen Amidala herself.
No, she doesn't say Queen Amidala.
No,
she says the Queen of Naboo.
It's Amidala, come on.
No, Naboo has multiple queens. They elect a new queen every few years.
True.
They have monarchy as a presidency.
True. I mean, I'm choosing to believe that this was commissioned ahead of the fight in Phantom Menace.
Listen.
I'm not choosing to believe what a lot of the internet is doing, where they're going, "Oh, it's Anakin's." No, fuck off. You're making the universe even smaller.
Oh yeah,
everyone's directly connected.
Well, saying it was commissioned by Queen Amidala.
It's from Naboo. It's from but come on. When was there key conflict whilst Amidala was in charge? Episode 1 and the space between Episode 1 and Episode 2, when she becomes a senator.
There were queens during the Imperial administration.
All right, fine. Point is, I like the fact that they took a ship that is very visually distinct.
Yes, and then made it more visually distinct.
They stripped it down to its like Lego skeleton, and then just built more Lego skeleton on it.
Yeah.
And I knew the moment I saw that ship, and I was like, oh, but that one's always got a protocol droid, not a protocol droid, what's R2 called?
Astromech.
So they've always got an astromech in them. They're not going to do it, are they? They're going to turn that into something else. I did not expect them to do what they did, and I thought that it was fucking adorable, because they are massively teasing us with the cutest toy ever made. Friend of the show, Billiam Tracy, if you go to his Twitter account, Wellbuilt, BILLT, go and give it a look, folks, because he, from scratch, made his interpretation of it and put a Lego Grogu in the dome.
Yes.
And I'm just like...
It's happening.
This is going to be a thing at some point.
Happening.
I don't want him to take Grogu away from his training necessarily, but I also am like, the sooner you get them back together, I think the bigger the serotonin boost we're all going to feel when we see them hanging out again. Him test flying was great.
Yep. Beggars Canyon.
Yeah, again, we see a part of the pod racing route from Episode 1, and it's almost shot the same.
Yep.
But the context is different, so it doesn't feel like a rehash.
Nope.
And then he goes, fuck that, and goes up into the sky, and... Yeah, it's kind of weird that we got basically a pull over joke, but I do appreciate seeing. Yeah, well, again, it's the mirroring thing, and I do appreciate seeing the rebel pilot, who
not the Dave Filoni one, the
other one who was also there when they said that they last saw him in Series 2 in the Spider episode. And I love that he basically was like, I heard tell of the wreckage of a Razor Crest. So he's basically saying like, is it you and are you okay? But there's that whole thing of like, they can't...
Yeah.
Like, he can't go like, it's me, because then the other rookie could be whatever, be like, oh yeah, no, aren't you wanted for whatever, we need to bring him in. So he sort of dwells, and then Mando like turns visibly to look.
It's like, you can see it's
and
me.
The guy kind of catches, and you can see that that's enough for him to be like, so you're alive, but you can see he really wants to know, are you okay?
Yeah.
Because he knows the last time he saw him, he had the child with him.
Yeah.
And it's like, he doesn't have him now. And Mando's just like, fuck off, woo! And goes into his hyperdrive. And I love that idea as well of that technology. And the ships that can't be traced are all pre-Imperial.
Yep.
So they're fucking impossible to get hold of.
Yep.
And even them in their X-Wings, which are like the current state-of-the-art X-Wing, are like, yeah, we're not going to catch up to that thing.
Well, yeah, because he's not jumping into hyperspace. It's his sublight engines, but it's basically Starfighter nitrous oxide.
Yeah,
it's exactly what it is.
Yeah, it sounds like a fucking rough as balls.
Yeah,
machine.
It's the Nox from Fast and Furious. Like, that's where we are. And like, because let's not forget, in the Star Wars universe, Starfighters are all hot rods because George Lucas.
Yeah, yeah.
So.
Yeah, like
come on.
The Razor Crest, as cool and distinct as it was, and the fact that it's sort of like very subtly ate ships from other things we like Serenity and things like that. Like, it was a camper van.
Yeah, it is a camper van.
It was a camper van. And now he's on a hot rod.
I mean, let's put it right, he's not going to be carrying around bounties in this. He's too fucking small.
Yeah.
He hasn't got his little fucking carbonite freezer.
Yeah, so he's just going to be... I don't know. I can't remember who it was, but someone doodled it online saying, actually, and then scribbled the new ship with Grogu in the dome, Mando in the front cockpit, and a carbonite frozen dude on a string at the back of the ship just flying. I can't remember who it was, but...
It's doable.
I was like, that's funny.
Yeah.
That is legit funny.
Get a trailer for it.
And then at the end... Fennec shows up and is like, hey, I was actually going to come looking for you, presuming she was going here to see if she could find any...
I need to go back and check if you can see her in that wide shot before it cuts back to her and reveals her.
You know, when it did that first shot of them looking at her and it's a wide, I couldn't see her.
Yeah, so that's what I mean.
But not in like her, was she in the shot and it's a cock-up? Was she not in the shot and it's a cock-up? I think that was more just in a, my eyes were looking everywhere else in the shot.
Yeah. That's why I need to go back and check.
That was weird. But then the immediate next shot is a mid close-up of her, so I was like, oh, Fennec's here. Yay. And we're tying back into the Book of Boba Fett.
There is a wide before that wide where you couldn't see her. Where I need to go back and check if she's in that one.
Got you, yeah. This feels like, for any other live-action series, this feels like a mid-season 3 or 4 episode where they go, do you know what?
Yeah.
We're going to follow someone else entirely for this episode, and then we're going to tangentially reattach it back to the main plot at the end.
Yeah.
But because it's the first and probably only season of the Book of Boba Fett, it feels kind of weird that they did it. However, I've been binging Clone Wars the last year or so, just going through it every now and again, sticking it on in the background while I'm doing tasks, because it's the perfect kind of show to not give all your attention to.
Yeah.
Because very rarely does it focus on one specific plot, character, or arc for long. And that's what I sort of have liked about it, is that you don't really know. I never look at the bios for the episodes. I always just let it play. Because all of a sudden, you're watching a story that's about a random encounter where R2 is with this thing that's going on. You're following R2 for an episode. Or, this week it's Yoda with a bunch of clone troopers trapped in a situation and he's going to help them get out of it. This week we're going to hang out with a bunch of clones that have been rejected. And have become their own unit and are learning to overcome their individual flaws. This week we're going to follow... And it's it's kind of nice. And this sort of felt like the first attempt at that in live action of, guess what? This is going to tie into the story you're watching. But first we're going to spend some time with Din Djarin.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, all right. I didn't hate it. I'm looking forward to seeing them all kind of brush shoulders and bump heads again.
Do all their stuff together, yeah.
As they go in for the Pike Syndicate. So who have we got? We've got what's the name?
Black Chrysanthemum.
Chrysanthemum. I've never had to say it out loud. It feels weird to do it out loud now.
Did I tell you that...
Reading it has never been an issue, but now that we've got him in a show and we have to talk about it, I'm like, what's his name?
Did I tell you that Kieran Gillen was talking, because he created him in the Star Wars comics, talking about what his placeholder name...
First shows up in Vader, right?
Yes.
Vader Down.
No.
Pre-Vader Down.
Darth Vader into Vader Down, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When Alpha first shows up.
That's where I've read up to. And now I've got Marvel Unlimited. I can read the rest. Woo! Although I'm currently working my way through Fantastic Four. Modern Fantastic Four.
It's very good. And so...
Galactus gets turned into a mountain. It's weird.
Kieran Gillen's talking about... when he created Chrysanthemum and going back to his early scripts, what his placeholder name for Chrysanthemum was?
Go on.
Newbacker.
Brilliant.
Because, ladies and gentlemen, Kieran Gillen will never stop being Kieran Gillen.
Yeah. So he's a new Chewbacca.
Yeah, he's
I'm
Newbacker.
going to call him Newbacker.
Yeah.
So you've got Black Chrysanthemum, you've got the Mandalorian, you've got Fennec Shand, you've got Boba Fett. You've got a gang of sort of Star Wars equivalent punks on speeder bikes.
Yeah.
Is there room for someone else? Is there room for another enforcer of some kind based on the timeline? I wonder, and this is purely hypothetical, if prior to the events of 2020 on social media, the Mando wouldn't have been in this, but Cara Dune would have been.
Ooh.
Because Cara Dune seems like more of a fit, right? Because after this is when the series she was going to be the lead in,
the Rangers of the New Republic,
which is now just gone. They've just said that's done. They're not doing it at all, which must mean that they tied it so much into the character of Cara Dune, but they're not ready to just recast or recontextualize the series, and they've gone, yeah, fuck it. I wonder if this would have been the whole thing of, hey viewers, do you remember this character? Cool. Well, their show's next. I wonder if that was the plan.
Yeah.
And instead they've gone, no, I'll make it Mando.
Well,
because people will lose their shit the moment that they see that Boba Fett and Mando are back in the same series.
I saw a great post on Twitter I was trying to find, couldn't find it, where someone had used the images from the whatchamacallit, the Armourer Mando conversation.
Yeah.
It was like, so what happened to Cara Dune? Oh, well, she immediately after our adventure with Grogu, she flushed herself out of an airlock by mistake and crashed onto the planet of asses and hit every ass on the way down or something like that. And just like... She's dead.
She's dead in continuity. Sorry, everybody.
That's become a popular thing on Twitter now. It's like, oh, so what happened to Cara Dune? She's died.
Yeah.
She's dead.
She's dead. It's dead simple. You just never revisit that character. It means, unfortunately, you probably don't revisit Carl Weathers either.
No.
But then again, you could revisit Carl Weathers in a different way. You could get him back as a director. Since he directed an episode of Series 2 of MANDO and he did a great job.
I'll just bring him back and not mention Cara Dune.
Fair play. Oh, yeah, do you know what? I think they'll throw everyone a bone in the, like, you know, people like myself who really liked the character, but I'm like, yeah, I do not want Gina Carano back in this.
Yeah.
And people who are just continuity hounds, and people who for some reason don't give a shit about her being intrinsically shitty and should not be sort of given this platform until she's sort of gone like, yeah, that was really bad of me and I'm really sorry, everybody. But she'll never do that. She just doubled, tripled, quadrupled down with Ben Shapiro. But like...
of all people to tie your fucking cart to, Ben fucking Shapiro.
But like, I'm sure they'll throw a bone in Mando Series 3. There'll be a reference somewhere to like, Cara Dune's in charge of this thing over here, and you'll go, alright, there you go. Okay, there you are. So the character's off doing the character's thing. She's
gone on an expedition into the outer...
I have to go now. Yes. My planet needs me. Cara Dune died on the way to her home planet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, God. If there's anyone listening to this going like, why are you bringing your politics into... I'm not. It's a fucking show made by a company that makes family entertainment.
Yeah.
Maybe don't, like, compare vaccinations and lockdowns to the Holocaust, for fuck's sake. Anyway,
Oh, do you remember when Letitia Wright told everyone not to take the vaccine?
Oh, God.
Do you remember when Evangeline Lilly started doing it as well?
Oh.
Why? What is it with, like, female leads in the MCU?
Well, Evangeline Lilly said that she's not against taking it and has even suggested that she herself has taken it.
Well, she would have had to.
But she hates the mandate, and it's like, there is as yet not a solid mandate.
Well, there has been a lot of...
There's more businesses making the choice that, yeah, we are not allowed to like be in our premises unless you're vaccinated.
Yeah.
That is the choice of the business.
Yeah.
If you feel if you feel your right is being taken away to go to a certain club, spoiler alert, you don't own the club.
In the States,
like, you're not having your right taken away.
In the States, it's state by state. But over here, the one that people are kicking off about is the mandate the NHS have. So you will be fired if you do not get vaccinated.
Yeah, which again, like I personally, again, like people will disagree. Personally, good. I think you should be if you work in
a matter of public health
in hospitals.
If you are able to be vaccinated and you choose not to be vaccinated, and that involves you losing your job, that is a choice that you make.
Yeah, like they're taking away our freedom to choose. They're not. You've made the choice. There are consequences to that choice. Those consequences aren't there to punish you. They are there for the betterment or the upkeep of the business or job or institution that like has asked you to do. Like it's as simple as that. Like,
and as someone who still got sick from COVID after 3 doses of the vaccine, I fucking dread to think what it was like. What it would have been like if I hadn't have had those.
As of this recording, ex-actor, ex-singer wannabe, and ex-currently political candidate.
Oh, most divorced dad in history, Lawrence Fox.
The most divorced dad. Yeah. Lawrence Fox, a few days ago, put out a picture of him in a t-shirt saying, "Don't need the vax, I've got my immune system."
And then fucking got COVID.
And then got COVID, and immediately was like, well, Mr. Coronavirus has come for me. Don't worry, everybody. At the moment, it just feels more like the man flu, not the woo flu. It's like, for fuck's sake.
Oh,
and immediately revealed that he's on ivermectin.
Yeah.
Which is illegal in the UK.
Yep.
So that means he already had it. He'd already bought some and got it shipped to the UK in case he got COVID. But he's talking about, I don't want to put unknown substances in my body.
I'm going to use this horse dewormer.
I'm going to use horse dewormer. Like, what the fuck? And the people who avidly follow him and support him for speaking his truth and speaking freedoms are all like, get well soon, Lozer, it's going to be great. And everyone else is like, you're doing that thing you say that you don't want to do. But you're doing it with fucking horse dewormer. As of this recording yesterday, he posted a picture of, like, he says, moving on, feeling a bit more unwell, so I'm moving on to the more hardcore stuff, like, fellas. And it's a picture of his chopping board in his kitchen. He's cut up, like, some lemon and lime. And he's got some, like, not Lemsip, but he's got like, cold and flu sort of medicine for the throat. He's got like Jack Daniels. He's making like an Irish coffee.
He's making a fucking hot toddy is what he's doing.
Hot toddy, basically. And it's just like...
Which, don't get me wrong, I had a couple of hot toddies when I was sitting with coffee.
Hot toddy, lovely. But he's there saying, my body will deal with it. You're giving yourself an awful lot of assistance for someone who's like, my body might... And now, of course, a lot more stuff is coming out from people around him who are saying, oh no, he's vaccinated. This is all performative.
Yeah, I guarantee he's had the fucking vaccine.
This is all performative, and it's like, oh my god. So if you're listening to this and you've not had the vaccine and you're thinking that we're like insulting you, we're not. You've not had it for whatever reason. You've chosen not to have it. We're insulting Lawrence Fox for being a massive fucking hypocrite, and you should too.
It is almost a certainty that the people in the media who are telling you not to get vaccinated have been vaccinated.
Oh god, yeah. Half of Fox News have.
Yeah.
It's very open that they have had it. They're telling people to not get it.
They're not doing it out of concern for your welfare. They're doing it because they're trying to push an agenda.
They're trying to push an agenda, and some of them are trying to literally push medical products that they have sponsorships for, or have been paid by to push towards, which is hilarious because, like, eventually, and the fact of this is not hilarious, but the concept is, they will kill off the audience that's supporting them and lining their pockets. That audience will literally die. So where do they get the money from then? It's just so bizarre. Just so to calm us down.
Almost as bizarre.
To calm us down, let's look at July.
Ooh, fluffy with the black patch on the nose, like darker brown ears, a little bit of white on the chest, little white socks on.
Bit of Alice Cooper black eye makeup fur as well. Reminds me of the fact we're on Twitter. You can follow us at Big Damn Cast. Look at August.
August. Apples.
Apple for scale.
A little smiley apple for scale with a little smiley pup and the big old ears.
Its legs are only just as tall as the apple.
Yeah, again that white chest going on. It's a good look. Little bit of salt and pepper on the muzzle.
It really reminds me of the fact that we're on YouTube, Big Damn Channel, where you can find this podcast and any other stuff we upload. So go give it a subscribe. Make sure you don't miss out on the episodes. Look at September. September's got the bug eyes.
He's buzz-eyed and brown
derpy
white.
September.
Yeah, it's a silly puppa. It's very cute.
Oh my god! Look at that little face.
Almost as stupid as the fact that we have a Patreon at patreon.com/BigDamnCast,
where you can keep the lights on, help us fund the podcast, and get a load of in the coming period of the year, get some brand new material that's exclusive to patrons, including access to the Discord server, which you can get right now, so you should probably go and give us a follow. Look at October!
Oh, there's a little fluff ball.
That's literally like a polar bear meets a teddy bear.
It's like a ball of sticky rice with eyes.
That's what Minnie looks like when we've put a hairdryer to her and scared the life out of her.
That's what she looks like when she's just a fresh shit where she shouldn't have. I know what animals are like.
That's very true.
That's what my cat does.
293 down. Look at that one, November!
The black face with a little bit of light brown around it and that lovely white stripe down the centre.
White gloves and a white bib.
Yeah, white gloves and a white bib. It's like a very smart man in a tux who's only got 7 to go.
Yeah, 7 to go, but December!
Oh, look at that little face!
That is literally just a white ball of joy.
It is a white ball of joy.
And then look at the flowers for scale.
Flowers for scale?
They have strategically put these doggos into situations where they look extra tiny.
They're giving us a pair for 2023.
Oh, it's a shame, but then I'll have a calendar for, I don't know, other chihuahuas.
Yeah.